Yo, BJ Gaddour with the Daily BJ, and here are my 10 favorite shoulder exercises. All these moves make the list because A, they reap maximum gains, and most importantly, B, they have minimal amounts of joint stress, so you can train forever. So number one is the dumbbell Arnold press. Now, when you're doing any sort of presses, understand this. A closer hand position will allow you, with neutral grip, tends to be very joint friendly and shoulder friendly, but it'll maximize anterior delt and tricep contribution. The wider your grip, the more overhand you are, the more spread you have to the elbows, you get more lateral delt contribution. Also tends to be stressful on the shoulders for some people based on mobility issues, shoulder anatomy, etc. My favorite variation that works all three heads, front, side, rear delts, all three heads at once, is the Arnold press, named after the GOAT of bodybuilding himself, where you start with a palms facing grip and we get full rotation through the shoulder girdle just like that. Now, you can do this standing. My favorite way to teach this, especially for beginners, is to block the feet together, squeeze the legs together, crunch the abs, pull the ribs and shoulders down. And this allows you to really get the key positioning through your trunk so the movement occurs through the shoulders, not the low back. And all I'm going to do is kind of root my elbows into my ribs, and then keeping the shoulders down, press and rotate. So they start palms facing, supinated. You finish palms facing away, overhand grip, pronated at the top. And I love this one. Again, you get all three heads of the shoulders developed at once. You get rotation, which is really important for shoulder health and performance. And if I had to pick one, it would be this guy right here. Dumbbell Arnold press. All right, exercise 2 is the Bandbell behind the neck press. And the behind the neck press tends to be an exercise that some trainers or experts will say never do, it's so bad for your shoulders. I would agree if your mobility is an issue and or using too much weight or improper form and technique. Now, I like the Bandbell setup. All you do is you take some bands, you loop in some weight plates, dumbbells or kettlebells, and you create this oscillation effect. So half the load or less will actually have the same kind of muscle activation gains effect than heavy loads. So it's very easy in the joints, very easy to recover from. Also allows you to slow down your rep speed, create more time under tension. And the behind the neck press is amazing for getting more posterior upper back development in your whole shoulder girdle. So if you can, great. If not, just go to the front. But let me just show it. So I'm here, and you can use any barbell, by the way. I'm gonna block my feet together, squeeze my legs together, root my ribs and shoulders down, crunch the abs, and then just press. And the shoulders stay depressed the entire time. I go from my traps to full extension, and you can see as the bar oscillates, that means those muscles are quaking, and that's how you make a change. If it bothers you going behind the neck, you can just go standard presses from the front, and again, you're gonna get more anterior shoulder recruitment there, nothing wrong. Sometimes I'll even go between behind the neck to the overhead press variation. Set the clock for a minute or two and do as many quality reps as you can for them gains. Exercise number 3 is the Full-Frontal raise, a daily BJ approved exercise. And the beauty of this movement is it's taking your shoulders to a full range of motion. You also get a lot of recruitment of your lower mid trap, very important for shoulder health and developing the shoulder girdle in a serious way. And the key is, because that extended range of motion, you want to go lighter, but also really control the eccentric portion of the movement. That's when you're really going to fry the front head, the anterior head of your delts in particular. So go any bar you want. Easy curl can be an option you play around with too, and you can play around with your spacing. Wider grip will be easier just because of the decreased range of motion demands or mobility demands. You can go closer if you want. Just play around with it, make sure it's shoulder friendly. All I'm going to do is keeping the ribs and shoulders down, crunching the abs, come all the way up, straight armed, and then slow, 3 to 5 second lowering. You can have a slight bend in the elbows, but make sure it's not too much, and make sure the angle of the elbow is not changing throughout the movement. Whatever you pick, stay with it. And I like to go as straight armed as I can, and right here, that's where you really feel the anterior shoulder get lit. All right, keep the abs engaged. It's a core movement if you make it, and you want it to be, because you don't want to move at the low back. All right, slow 3 to 5 second descent. And again, this is great for sets of 1 to 2 minutes. Just set the clock, slow eccentric, and make it work. All right, number 4, reverse fly variations, working horizontal shoulder abduction and a transverse plane, which maximally targets the rear deltoid. You can play around with going overhand or palms facing grip. I've seen kind of mixed reviews in terms of which gets more posterior shoulder activation. Some say palms facing, some say overhand. What we do know is you're in a mechanically weaker position with an overhand grip, so it is a more challenging way to do it. I personally find more rear delt activation this way. You can go band cable setup. I like the bands just because you get peak tension at peak contraction, keep the rib shoulders down, pull right across the body and crack a nut between the shoulders. And again, I like a relatively straight arm position. You can also do them palms facing. So play around what feels best for you. Obviously dumbbells are another option. You can do them bent over or chest supported to take your lower back out of the equation if you have poor hamstring flexibility. And these I kind of like to do more palms facing personally, but you open up, slight bend in the elbows, flat back, working the whole back side of the body, and really play into some 1 to 2 second squeezes at the top of the movement, in my opinion. Better for higher repetitions, 10 to 15 plus reps. One of my favorite options is this guy. I'm gonna give you my ass, I apologize. We're gonna combine band and dead weight. So we get peak tension at the top where you typically don't get that same amount of squeeze through on these exercises. So you really feel how you have to squeeze through the delts as you come through. I'm only using a pair of 5-pound dumbbells here because of how much the bands increase the difficulty of the exercise. But just open up, crack a nut. Flat back, squeeze for 1 to 2 seconds, bring it right back. Lighter weights go a longer way when you know how to use the right tools, and when you combine bands and dead weight, you get the best of both worlds. All right, number 5, lateral raise variations, band, cable, or dumbbell, or a mix of whatever you want. The lateral head of the delt is one area that definitely needs some more isolation work. You're gonna get the front head on any sort of pressing push-up variation. You're gonna get the rear head anytime you do any sort of pull-up, row variation, carries even. So this is the one head that not only does it add width to your whole physique, making your waist look smaller and really making you look aesthetically nice, but you do need some more work on it. Now, a couple things to focus on with dumbbells. You will preferentially target the lateral head of the delt with a slight pinky up position at the top, and you go no higher than shoulder level. You can go a little bit higher if you want, but some people can risk impingement of the shoulder. I've got a full deep dive on lateral raises on my page. You can just check it out. I don't want to go too much into it right now. You can also keep the palms facing, but do a slight hip hinge, and that's one way to maximize lateral head contribution. So you can play around with that. I love going band cable with a cross setup because what I can do here is I actually get a big stretch coming through the delt, and I get peak tension at the top of the movement where I want it the most, and it's also easiest at the bottom where some people can actually feel some joint stress, but you're also getting that nice full range of motion, unique angle. I love this. I'll even use some pulsing reps sometimes in just the top half. Great for 15 to 20 plus reps, or let's say 100 reps in as few sets as possible to finish off your workout. Another classic one, again going slightly reverse fly, a band and dumbbell combination. So I get peak tension at the top of the exercise, add a 1 to 2 second hold at the top. I'm just using a pair of 5-pound dumbbells and a light orange band, and this feels super challenging. All right, number 6, front raise variations for the front delt, anterior head of the shoulder, just pure shoulder flexion. Now, you can play around with, and by the way, this is probably the least important one because you're working it. So if you've done bench presses or push-ups probably since you were a baby, so you've gotten a lot of work on this area, but just be cognizant you need more work for the lateral and rear head. You can do pure overhand grip just to shoulder level. Again, anytime you go higher than that, you risk elevating the scapula, impinging the shoulder. Usually about right at shoulder level is perfect. Slight bending the elbows or straight arm, it's up to you. You could also go, if that bothers your shoulders more, thumbs up. And the most accessible one, probably the best one for overall shoulder health for anyone, is what's called scaption. Puts you in the scapular plane, you go thumbs up, but 45 degrees out to the side. And this tends to be one that no matter how bad your shoulders are, anybody can do if they use the right tempo and the right weight. And again, these raises are always good. Do your heavier work on your presses, okay? And then use these guys to polish it up, sculpt up those muscles for higher reps for metabolic stress and pump and burn tactics, all right? I can also go, like we've shown, with the band and bell combination for more constant, peak tension at the top of the movement. All right, that's another great one. And then I can also go band cable. By the way, in all these, band cable will be the most shoulder-friendly band in particular because you get minimal stress at the bottom, maximal stress at the top when you're trying to contract those muscles. Number 7 is the upright row. Next to heart disease, it's the second leading cause of death in American males. This is an exercise that a lot of people get really crazy about, and studies show, in fact, if you just pull to the point where your upper arms are parallel to the floor, you avoid the risk of impingement. Now, I will say that some people just don't have the right shoulder anatomies for this movement at all, unless you try it with the band version. But again, it's all about trying movements, seeing if they work for your body. If not, plenty of other ones to do. But this does, especially when you pull the weight apart and go with more of a wider grip, really hammer the middle lateral head of your shoulders. It's also going to work the traps a bit, but try to make it more of a middle delt exercise. The traps get hit a lot of other ways. Heavy carries, deadlifts, hinges, those things. So I'm going to pull right here. So think about pulling apart with the dumbbells. As you go wider and abduct the shoulders, you really put the stress where you want it, which is the middle delts. You could, of course, come here, but this will actually put you at probably greater risk of impingement. It also tends to just be a weird movement for some people, especially with longer arms. So pay attention to that. My favorite option is just the band upright row apart. So again, very shoulder friendly, and by pulling the band apart, you really help put the shoulder in a good position while still working the middle delt in that kind of abducted position. So pull up and then pull it apart. It's almost like a band pull apart combined with an upright row, or almost a lateral raise. So like 3 movements into one. I love this one. Really squeeze the top position right there. And great shoulder warm up, great high rep burnout movement. Number 8, landmine presses. Now a landmine is where you put a barbell into the corner of a wall or a landmine post, and the arcing path of the bar puts you kind of in a tweener between a horizontal press and a vertical press. So very shoulder friendly, especially if you have mobility issues or a history of shoulder pain, but also amazing for targeting the shoulder, especially the single arm version. You can do it on both arms like this. One thing I'll recommend from puremotion.net, add a Warhammer. They come in both a short and a long option based on, you know, this is better for lower body stuff where you want to put it on your shoulder. So you've got both options there, but all you do is you put it on, you create some space and separation from the bar, and you have a more grip friendly option. Also great for adding band tension to it. I'm going to show the band tension option. You don't need it, but it's a way that you can actually make this move a lot harder than normal. So just hook it foot to the attachment. You can also do the same thing onto the end of the barbell. Again, you're just going to be closer to the plate. I like more separation. I'm going to stagger my foot so it's further behind me, and I actually work what's called protraction of the scapula. Protraction, pushing the shoulder blades away, really targets the rib cage, serratus anterior muscles for shoulder health, beyond being one of my favorite pressing variations for anyone. Don't just push up, push away, push all the way through. Come back, full range of motion. You get peak tension at the top. People will say, well, which one is better? Adding the band or just going heavier? They're both great. You get less stress in the shoulder here with the dead weight because there's no band tension here, or there's minimal band tension, but you get peak tension right through the top where it's typically easiest. So this move becomes hardest at the top with the band. Without the band, it's easiest at the top. So number 9, landmine shoulder variations. Again, you can hold the end of any barbell. I'm adding the Warhammer attachment. You can get 10% off this, by the way, at thegardenofgains.com with my coupon code TheDailyBJ. I highly recommend this. It makes it so much better, so much easier to perform. So what I'm going to do is the first option is a lateral raise, which actually works the entire shoulder girdle, also mid-lower trap, rotator cuff. Awesome for shoulder health and performance. You can warm up with this. You can use this as an accessory exercise. One of my favorites. All we're going to do is open up all the way to the side, keeping the ribs and shoulders down, abs crunch, glutes engaged, lower and control. Great for 8 to 12 plus reps. Again, shoulder friendly, and it'll bulletproof that shoulder in a real way. Again, keep those abs down, full control. If you want to get more pure rear delt, go with the reverse fly option. You hinge at the hips, flat back, and all we do from there is open up to the side. Also an awesome anti-rotation core exercise, working the whole back side of the body. This will add slabs of meat to that upper mid-back area and posterior shoulder. So again, that one gets more rear delt, back side of the body. This one's going to get more lateral delt involved. All right, this one is a premium equipment option. It's one of my favorites. It's my favorite way to teach the Olympic lifts because of the unique forward diagonal force vectors, very small learning curve, very joint friendly. You can tell I've got 2 landmine bars, or what they're called Renegade bars with PureMotion, attached to the landmine rack. You can also use 2 landmine options or any clean or snatch variation that works for you and your body type. The thing is, these movements tend to be very complex, so I like to find ways to get the benefits of Olympic lifting. And if you look at Olympic lifters, they have some of the most developed shoulder girdles, upper mid-back trap regions that you'll ever see. So we learn from the best, apply it where we can. We don't need to worry about mastering the Olympic lift of the barbell when it's dangerous and really difficult to learn. It takes decades. So here's what I like to do: a hang clean or a hang snatch. On the clean, what I'm going to do is just start from the hang position, triple bends, ankles, knees, hips. You're actually in the balls of the feet with this guy. And all I'm going to do from there is explode to the hips, catch, right back. You're actually on the balls of the feet here, catch. Right there, all right? Now, you can also turn it into a snatch, which is so much more shoulder friendly because just like in the landmine press, the weight is pushed forward and out in front of your body. So I'm going to explode to the hips, right there, back, 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 okay?